Here are mistakes that cost footballers millions. Number 22. Neymar. So Neymar takes a wild spin into the NFT world, throwing down cash like confetti. Man was making it rain, but things started to get ugly pretty fast. A mutant ape kicks things off, sending him back $25,000. Well, that's still pocket change for him, right? Then, 2 bored apes join the squad, each worth a cool $500,000. And then the NFT rave fizzles. The digital value nosedives, and a lawsuit drops like a surprise album. Lesson learned: Neymar plus NFTs equals worst duo ever. Number 21. Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, so this one's quite tricky, and we'll leave you to be the judges of this one. So, Ronaldo ships 2 of his luxury cars into Mallorca for a little family vacation, and one of them is the Bugatti Veyron. That's 1.7 million euros clean. Of course he ships a new Bugatti Veyron like it's just another regular car. So my man's cruising in his other car, which is, of course, another Bugatti. But here's the kicker: his bodyguard, who's not exactly a car expert, crashes the Veyron into a wall. Damn, Ronaldo's prized beast was a total mess. But this was nothing compared to Messi's 11 million euro real estate scam. Now, that was one wild ride. We'll be getting into that in a bit, but check this out. Number 20. Keith Gillespie. Keith Gillespie, a Man United player at the time, confessed to blowing over £7.2 million on gambling. He declared bankruptcy in 2010 at 35. Ouch! Number 19. Paul Pogba. Yo, want to know how Paul Pogba lost a chunk of money by being too trusting? Okay, look at this. Despite his baller contracts, Pogba's generosity, tossing cash, giving out pads to pals, and playing guardian angel backfired big time. So here's the deal. One night, armed invaders suddenly kidnapped him and asked him for $13 million ransom. And sadly, they got what they wanted. But here's the crazy part. Pogba discovers his own brother, Matthias, and a childhood bud orchestrated the whole thing. See why not trusting anyone isn't so bad sometimes? But his own brother? Well, let's move on to one with less backstabbing. Number 18. Zlatan. Despite having the craziest football career of almost 20 years and making mad bank while at it, Zlatan decided to explore a childhood dream, his very own clothing line. So he started A to Z. He rocked his gear in interviews, flooded Instagram with fashion vibes, and dropped some, let's say, questionable skits on YouTube. But the production costs got too heavy, and it got too expensive for people to buy. Zlatan lost about 20 million euros within 2 years of starting the fashion line. Number 17. Vinicius. Vinicius Jr. didn't only leave defenders in the dust, he left a multi-million-dollar Nike deal in the rearview mirror. Our man had been rocking the Nike swoosh since he was practically learning to tie his football boots. This was a 10-year deal he signed at 13 and got extended for another decade in 2018. Well, it was all rosy until it wasn't. So, Vinny Jr. felt like Nike wasn't rating him high enough, and his point may have been valid, to be honest. Despite being an ambassador for over a decade, he was left out of their World Cup ad campaign. Imagine being an ambassador for that long, but you weren't invited to the big boys table. So Vinny was like, 2 can play. And so he decided to ditch his regular colored boots for an old all-black pair. He kicked Nike to the curb and walked out of a deal of 7 million euros per year. While he deserved a demand for better treatment from the company, was his decision to leave the brand really a smart one? At number 16, we have a member of the Holy Trinity. Number 16. George Best. George Best was one hell of a player, but his love for partying gave his liver a run for its money. He tried quitting booze and women once, but lasted only 20 minutes. Holy Trinity or not, George's life was like a wild goal celebration turned sour. He lost it all. Number 15. Paul Gascoigne. Gaza's football life was like magic, but off the field, it was a total mess. From getting high and thinking he was friends with a known murderer to shouting racial slurs mid-flight, his career took a nosedive. Now he's a regular at rehab check-ins. Number 14. Adriano. Adriano was such a brilliant player, but with addiction to a careless lifestyle, it doesn't matter how good you are at your job. A fat deal can turn into no deal in a second. In fact, he recently sold his mansion for over 1.3 million euros and now temporarily lives in a hotel with his family. Number 13. Paul Merson. Merson, who's now a Sky Sports pundit, once dished out advice like, "Hey Hull, try young British managers like Thierry Henry." First of all, how is Thierry Henry even British? But yet again, it's no surprise it's Merson. Back in the day, Merson battled serious addictions, fueled by his fat Arsenal paycheck, cocaine, alcohol, and gambling. Talk about the holy trinity of addiction. Merson revealed that while he was at Arsenal, he lost 7 million euros to gambling. Whoa! Number 12. Jack Rodwell. Jack Rodwell started playing in Everton from age 14, but in 2012, he got lured away by Manchester City's 12 million euros. I can't blame the guy. That was a lot of dough. It'd be hard for anyone to pass up on that. But that move wasn't a lucky move, because it all went downhill from there. From Man City, he moved to Sunderland and had more injuries than goals. In fact, after he left Sunderland, a newspaper article called him the worst signing in Sunderland's history, and that was pretty much the last major thing heard about him. Number 11. Michael Chopra. Chopra's case was another case of gambling. Seriously, what's with these guys in gambling? I get that they make crazy money, but why is gambling the next option? For Chopra, he started gambling with his teammates at 17. His teammates gambled on the bus, and so he joined them. He made bets of up to £30,000 each time. As expected, it grew into an addiction that pushed him to the point of using his sign-on fee at Sunderland to clear debts. Well, seems the gambling addiction train was a full one, because Matty Etherington also had his share of it. Number 10. Matty Etherington. Meet Matty Etherington, the winger with a killer left foot and an expensive addiction. Before the week came to an end, dude had already gambled his wages of over £20,000 weekly, and he was consistently unmatched. I give him that, because tell me how you blow over £1.5 million on bets, and do it till you're down £800,000 in debt. Number 9. Nicolas Anelka. Anelka, the goal machine at Arsenal, got too big for his boots and started making big demands. Pretty soon, Wenger sold him to Real Madrid for £22.3 million, but he kinda flopped there, so he bounced around Europe before Chelsea eventually reinvented him. And by that time, he was making way less than he was at Arsenal. Lesson learned. Sometimes being too big for your boots lands you in the wrong pair. Number 8. Asamoah Gyan. Former Sunderland striker Asamoah Gyan hit rock bottom with just £600 left to his name in 2018. After earning $227,000 weekly at Shanghai SIPG, he mysteriously lost it all after an airplane company he started didn't fly, literally. Number 7. Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho, the legend, had just £5 in his bank account in 2018. Nope, it's not a joke. The legend himself was left with about £5 after his passport got seized because he defaulted on paying a fine of £1.7 million for an illegal construction. As if that wasn't enough, he was arrested again in 2020 for traveling with fake documents. Number 6. David James. James's mistake wasn't drugs. It wasn't defaulting in payments or alcohol or reckless spending. His only mistake was getting married. After his divorce, it got so hard that he had to auction some of his expensive stuff to meet up with bills. From $50K a week to selling your stuff to stay afloat is something no one prepares for. Speaking of things not going according to plan. Number 5. Brad Friedel. Brad Friedel's dream of a U.S. football academy turned into a nightmare with a debt of about £5 million. With a yearly fee of £25,000, it was difficult getting trainees for the school, so all the bills were on him to sort out. This next one is hot. It's Diego Maradona. Number 4. Diego Maradona. Maradona had to pay over $30 million in tax debt. Unbelievable, right? The Italian tax authority chased unpaid taxes from his Napoli days. Imagine having to pay that much for something you didn't even expect. Damn, that's as cold as it gets. Number 3. John Arne Riise. Arne Riise found himself bankrupt in 2007, even though he was earning £30 per week. This was a typical case of bad business. He made a lot of bad investments, and he had to pay a debt of 100,000 euros, which was part of a £3 million fraud investigation. Number 2. Eric Gimba. After playing alongside Ronaldo and Giggs at Man United, Eric Gimba faced bankruptcy after playing for Aston Villa. He was one of those people that just didn't know how to handle money. This is how his former agent put it. Eric is on a different planet. He simply has no notion of money. At one point, he had 30 different bank accounts. He was juggling between credits. There was a time when he owned 10 4x4s. 10! I kept telling him to watch out. When he arrived at Man United, I decided to take over the running of his accounts. It took me 4 hours a day. At United, he was earning about £75,000 basic a month, but every penny was going straight to loan repayments. He was having to live on bonuses and extras. So, remember that messy news we kept for later? Well, let's get into it ASAP! Number 1. Messi. Yo, Messi's dream of an €11 million paradise in Ibiza went from chill to full-blown legal battle. Like from 0 to 100 just like that. Boom! After completing the paperwork for the house, he faced suspicions of a high-profile crime because the government thought his new crib was shady. See, the property was originally 4 bedrooms, but the previous owners added 2 extra rooms without the necessary documents, leaving Messi without a house and no permit. The Spanish government wasn't having it, and they told him that he had to remove the 2 new rooms from the building and return to the original project plan if he was going to have it back. So which financial blunder was the most shocking for you? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.